Hello, Book Geekers. I have a special offer for you. That's right, available for a limited time, a free audio download. This exclusive conversation titled Following Your Passion with life-engineered author J.F. Dubois will give you inspiration and entertainment. Available for a limited time, JF tells us how he is making the transition from graphic designer to author. In a field where rejection is inevitable, JF shares his views on how he deals with it, what advice he would give anyone wishing to make a career change, and more. Janine Bay from Montreal, Quebec, Canada says, it is inspiring and entertaining, to the point and worth the listen. Go now, FrédéricBaye.com, Following Your Passion with author J.F. Dubois, available for a limited time. Everybody, come on in, sit back, relax, and all you have to do is enjoy the show. Welcome to the Book Geek Show. I am Frédéric Baye, and I am talking to you from right here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. This is the show where books and only books rule. That's right. I am a geek. I am a guy. I am a dude. I am a podcaster. I am a writer. I am an animal lover. I am everything that you would like me to be. This podcast is about fiction and nonfiction. Books that we love. Books change lives. Books entertain. Books make us grow. Basically, it is a life podcast. It is free every time you download it on iTunes. Please go over there. Subscribe people on iTunes. Tell your friends about it, because it increases the algorithms and I have better ratings, in iTunes. So leave a review, and for more podcasts, free gifts, articles, subscribe at www.frédéricbaye.com. That's www.frédéricbaye.com. That's right. That's my name. You can also find me on Twitter at ByFred, or on Facebook. Simply type in my name, Frédéric Baye, and you will be set. For all the sound bites you hear on the podcast, thanks to soundbible.com and thanks to greatcleanjokes.com for this week's joke. That's right. I always like to start off with something funny. I'm sure many of you are used to it now. This is a joke about Little Bob. It's a clean church joke. And check this out. Little Bob went with his mom to church every Sunday. One morning in the middle of the service, Bob complained that he was feeling a bit queasy and was afraid he was going to puke. No problem, dear, whispered his mom in his ear. Just head on over to the bathroom on the other side of the church and take care of it. 30 seconds later, Bob came back. Did you go to the bathroom? Questioned his mom. No need, responded Bob. Right outside the door was a big box with a sign next to it, written for the sick. So I just did it in there. All right, that was a cute, that was a cute joke. Yeah, you have to admit. All right, last week's blog, obviously we all heard the news about France, about the world, about, the how France declares war, and I don't want to get back, I'm sure you've heard it over and over again in the news. We don't need to hear it here in the Book Geek, at the Book Geek Show, although all our thoughts and prayers go to the French people, and just people people also in Lebanon, and people around the world. There's another country in Africa where there's maybe a genocide coming, and we don't want that. Nobody wants that. And here at the Book Geek Show, we send our condolences, our prayers, our thoughts to the people in the world. And you know what? All we want is peace. All we want is peace. So last Sunday, actually, I posted from my blog. I reposted an article I had written, and actually, it's a poem. It's called the "I Don't Quit" poem. It's a poem that I go back to over and over again. I love that poem, and that's why I shared it with you guys. And so you know, that's it. So go check it out if you need inspiration, motivation, entertainment, everything in between. Check out the blog at frédéricbaye.com. This week's book. We will do another book review for 2 weeks in a row. I wanted to share this book with you because it's one of my favorite books of all time. Too bad that the author only published 2 books in her career. And, you know, I was listening to another podcast today, and I just found it odd and interesting, actually. You know, it's the Rich Dad Radio Show. It's actually it's a, you know, financial education show. But there's a lot of personal growth involved in there, obviously. And they mentioned that there are more females than males who are looking for meaning in work. You know, they were talking about, you know, finding work or finding meaning in our lives instead of working just for money. And they made the difference between, you know, a job, a career, and a vocation. And most people now, I was so happy to hear that. Most people now are looking for their calling as opposed to a paycheck from a job or a career. Meaning. I think our world is such in deep search of meaning today. We are no longer just human machines working, producing. And that's why the millennials, I'm part of the millennials, and, you know, just people in general, actually, even, you know, people who are 50, 60, whatever age you are, this era is really, we are beyond just, you know, working for a paycheck or working for money, and we want meaning in our lives. And so that brings me to this week's book review. Okay, all you guys know, this is the Book Geek Show. I read all the time. I have books forever to talk about. It's unbelievable. I mean, books are just, if you're listening to this show, you know what I mean when I said our books are just a balm for the soul. Books are just a balm for the soul. And I am excited to share this book with you guys, because I know it will help you in so many ways. And for all you seekers out there, for all you people on a personal growth path, this is a must read. If you really want to go deep, if you really want to go, you know, this is a must read. So my story with that book. All right, it's first of all, it's called The Seeker's Guide by Elizabeth Lesser. And it's called The Seeker's Guide, Making Your Life a Spiritual Adventure. Isn't it what life is all about? You know what I mean? Isn't it a spiritual adventure? So years ago, as I browsed through the books, the local library years ago, I was coming out of my, I was still a fitness trainer, and there was a huge famous library here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I used to go there almost, I mean, every other day I'd be there, just browsing, even though I wouldn't buy anything. I was just browse, and I was always in the personal growth section. At that time, I was like absorbing knowledge and wisdom. I wanted to read everything from the greats. And so anyway, I picked up that book. I stumbled upon that book, and I knew about that book because of Oprah, because Elizabeth Lesser was, and I think she still is, a regular on the Oprah show. And I flipped through the pages and stumbled upon a poem that I'm going to read to you a little later, in a few minutes, that sticks to me to this day. And I also posted it on my blog, and it represents everything that I wanted to be as a person at the time. And it represented what I wanted to find in a partner. Let me give you a little background, a little story about Elizabeth Lesser. I know you will be fascinated by her. In 1977, Elizabeth Lesser co-founded the Omega Institute. And now it is America's largest adult education center, focusing on wellness and spirituality. And working with many of the eminent thinkers of our time, including like Zen masters, rabbis, Christian monks, psychologists, scientists, and an array of noted American figures. And by the way, guys, noted American figures, we go from LA Lakers coach Phil Jackson and an author that I'm sure you know of. She's the master of poetry, Maya Angelou. I'm gonna have to do a show about her. She's just amazing. So Lesser founded that by combining a variety of religious, psychological, and healing traditions. Each of us has the unique ability to satisfy our spiritual hunger. Now, you're gonna hear me talk here. And I know, if you've listened to this show long enough, you know that I am I am a fan of spirituality and that subject, the meaning of our lives. And so bear with me if that's not something that enlightens you. Just bear with me for today. All right. So basically, hey, look, in the Seeker's Guide, Elizabeth synthesizes the lessons learned from an immersion into the world's wisdom traditions and intertwines them with illuminating stories from her daily life, recounting her own trials and errors and offering meditative exercises. She shows the reader how to create a personal practice, gauge one's progress, and choose effective spiritual teachers and habits. Isn't that the most important thing? Mentors are mandatory in our world. To do anything, we need mentors, don't we? And your mentor, by the way, I think, can be people from the internet. I know I follow authors, successful indie authors, when I'm looking, for inspiration, and such as Joanna Penn or Nick Stephenson or Mark Dawson. These are the people like that I really, really admire. Anyway, moving on. Warm, accessible, and wise, this book provides directions through the four landscapes of your spiritual journey. What are the four landscapes? Let me talk to you about it a little bit. First of all, the one that mentioned in the book, the first one is the mind. And for that, we learn meditation to ease stress and anxiety. With a society filled with stress and anxiety, I really, 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 really like the idea of meditation. The other one is the heart, dealing with grief. We all deal with grief at one point in our lives, loss and pain. Opening the heart and becoming fully alive. The third one, the body. Returning the body to the spiritual fold to heal and overcome the fear of aging and death. I heard back in the day, maybe 7 years ago, Eckhart Tolle was on the Oprah show. And he mentioned how beautiful people, and we're not gonna lie, especially women, because they have more, social pressure, in my opinion, than men, as far as beauty. And he mentioned how it is really, really hard for a lot of women to grow old. And I really believe, in the power of releasing our toxic emotions. And why do I say that? I'm going to tell you why. when I was a wrestler, our coach, I will always remember this. He said, these people, when you look at old people and you see their face like wrinkled, and he squinted his eyes, his eyes narrowed, and he made that face like, and when you can physically see when somebody had a hard life, a lot of bitterness, a lot of anger, a lot of struggle. And I really think that stuff like meditation and just, being at peace with oneself is just priceless. And I think it really does help for aging. Just my opinion. And the fourth one is, the soul, experiencing daily life as an adventure of meaning and mystery. My reaction when I read that book, look, if I was in a period of my life, and I still am, but back then it was like new to me, my reaction to that book was like enlightening. I think it's a synchronization. It's a universe. I don't know. I think it was a kind of wink from the universe when I picked that book up. And I don't want to sound too esoteric, but, I don't care. But I browsed through the pages of that book when I was, back in that library like 10 years ago. Or less than 10 years ago. And, I stumbled upon a poem and I don't think, that poem just hooked me. And anyway, I'll talk about it later. All right. So to me, this is, the book really represents my definition of spirituality. It is nameless. It is a personal journey. And as Mother Teresa said, it is an examination of consciousness. And, it's a thick book. I don't think you can, you cannot read this book in one sitting. But hey, you know what? It's worthy. And I read the book in its entirety. She really goes deep here. Let me tell you why I loved it. Her honesty, her depth, her detail, the book resonated with me because I felt I was on the same journey as her. Elizabeth took me on a ride. And because of her story, it motivated me to keep moving forward in my life and be less afraid about the future. I love the part where she explains her divorce and her fears. This is what I love. It is an inner journey. She goes inside. There's nothing shallow about that book, although she does address our shallowness. And remember this. It's not do this, do that book. It's not just a regular self-help book, pop culture book where, hey, you should do A, B, C, D and your life will be great. It's not that. She really simply shares, her life and the lessons she's learned and how we can benefit from them. I also love when she explains her time, meeting psychologists and how it helped her. Another part that enlightened me was when she broke free from the words and labels her mother would tell her about her personality and her future. And it touched me, I think, because when I saw a therapist, maybe also 8-9 years ago, she asked me to write everything on a notepad about how I felt that week when went on through my mind. And I really wrote bad things about my mother, although she was a great mother, she sacrificed everything, but I was angry at her. And, and I remember her just saying, my God, how deep and profound is, and a lot of people feel that way about their parents, but they never get to admit it or express it. And I think that's why I related to Elizabeth to a huge extent. So that was a huge haha. The issues the book raised were fear, death, meditation, grief, healing, the search for meaning. I think you get the point. I would like to read you just real quick. So bear with me. A little poem that the poem actually that I stumbled upon, and it's very quick, very short. So here it is. It's by an author unknown, by the way. It does not interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals and have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your toes and fingers without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless, therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty, even when it's not pretty, every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know and live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand on the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after a night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It does not interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. This is really the greatest poem, one of the greatest poem I've ever read. It still touches me to this day. It really does. I even on her birthday, on my sweetheart's birthday, I think 3 years ago, I even gave it to her, on a nice board there, on a nice frame. And I gave it to her because that's how much it means to me, because she is really that, which you just heard. And I'm working to be that also. I think that poem really brings us back to ourselves. And if you have poems, people, just send them to me. I really, really want to hear from you. Go on my website or email me at info@fredericbaye.com. Email me. I really want to hear from you. Overall, this book is, actually, there's no negative I can say about that book. That's how much it touched me. It is complete. It is a must read. It is a tool that I keep safely in my library as a referral. It's explicative, It's fun, it's informative, and anyone who is on a personal growth path should read this book. I will repeat. Anyone on a personal growth path should read this book. Lastly, what I get out of it: be true to your heart without being narcissistic. Use meditation and make that examination of consciousness. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. I hope that this really touched you as much as it touched me. Next week we should have a guest. I cannot wait for to share our conversation with you. And so, hey, I just want to say a quick thing here. If you have any book recommendations, send them to me. Go to my website. Go on the contact page. You can email me at info@frédéricbaye.com. That's info@frédéricbaye.com. If you have book recommendations, if you would like to be on the show, also email me or go on my website on the contact page. And if you have anything to send me, like a poem that you would like me to read on the air, or if you just want to chat, hey, I'm available. So that will be it for today. I love you. Have a great week. We are Wednesday, as probably you'll be listening to this, or whatever day of the week you are. Have a great week. Have a great day. See ya. That's all for today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you found it helpful. If you want to listen to more episodes, you can visit frédéricbaye.com/podcast. If you'd like to connect, you can also tweet me at @byfred, or you can find me on Facebook at Frédéric Baye Writer. And remember, live with purpose, passion, and love.